Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of our F1 24 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Australian Grand Prix. Now, of course, if you missed out on yesterday's video, we had a very, very exciting race from the Jeddah Corniche. I would highly recommend, go check it out. We ended up in a drag race with Lance Stroll towards the finish line. Unfortunately, Lance did end up getting the better of me, so we're still yet to score a point so far in this new season. But as we head towards the land down under this weekend, hopes are high because we should, at least in theory, see our first new upgrades on the car. Before we do that, though, we have got a personnel department news. So, Awasa has really been hitting their stride in the simulator recently. While they're in the zone, where should we get them to focus their development? So, I mean, his awareness doesn't really matter too much at the moment because he hasn't really been fighting other cars so far. So, we're going to try and get Ayumu to up his pace as we head towards this weekend. I love the old school style rig that he's got underneath him as well. But we've got a little bit of money as well that we can spend heading into this weekend. We've also got the opportunity to sign a secondary sponsor to the team. So far, our reliability hasn't been too bad in this campaign. You basically, early on in the game, just want to pick companies that are going to allow you to receive your bonus paychecks pretty quickly as well. So AII is going to be the sponsor that we are going to choose there. So we should get some nice bonuses. We should get some good weekly injection of cash as well. And like I said, obviously, we can actually afford to do a facility upgrade as well. Now, we're really going to try and invest in our second driver early on in this campaign. So what we're going to try and do is use both the fitness center and the simulator to try and improve Ayumu's skills there. That leaves us with just $70,000. But are we finally going to see some new upgrades going onto the car as well? Then we've got one coming in. Have we got any more R&D? No, not at the moment. So, yeah, we'll just try and get a little bit of cash in the bank, make sure everything is as it should be there. And you can see now, with some of those upgrades, we're hopefully going to close in on Haas in the very near future. But yeah, let's do this thing, though, here from Albert Park.
A very warm welcome to Melbourne, the city that boasts 4 seasons in one day. Let's get this show on the road, and let's see who'll be top of the timesheets down under.
Well, we got a good view there of local boy Oscar Piastri heading into his second Australian Grand Prix. This is going to be a big weekend, though, because for the first time this season and for the first time on this game, at least in this series, we are going to have to experience some wet conditions. It looks like it's set to rain right the way throughout the entirety of this weekend, but free practice 1 apparently is meant to be the worst of all of the conditions. So we're going to, luckily, be able to opt for a little bit more downforce. But this is certainly going to be a session of just trying to build up some confidence in the car and work out just how it handles. Just made up an entire second through the chicane on the back straight there. I was about to talk about it, but I can already tell after just one lap that wet weather driving is going to be a whole lot easier on this year's game because you've got so much front end. And because the traction is so easy to come by as well, yeah, wet weather driving is going to feel a whole lot easier if you struggled with it in the past. Even there, you can see sliding out the final corner, but still able to put the power down. We'll try and make sure we get the purple score. Easy. 1 lap is all it took. Well, moving then into our final of our free practice laps there as Kevin Magnussen jumps out of the way. I tell you what, if this is how it's like driving a Formula 1 car in the rain IRL, EA and Codemasters so desperate to tell us about all, how much more accurate this year's game is, then I've suddenly lost a lot of respect for the IRL Formula 1 drivers. This might well be the easiest thing I've ever done. That being said, I'm well aware this isn't how they would have to drive in real life. I mean, you can see the fact you can mash it foot to the floor on the curbs there in 5th gear. It genuinely, wet weather racing on this year's game, unless something changes, is going to be the easiest thing in the world because there is just no challenge at all. I mean, we're nearly a second up as we make our way in towards the fast chicane here. Just watch the delta as we make our way through. Even with a wobble on the way in and a bit of an understeery moment on the exit, we made up a second through that sector. I think on my best lap, it was over a second and a half. And, you know, the fact that the front end is so responsive, even when you do lock up the rears as well, it is a very, very weird experience on this game. And as I think we've all kind of said, you know, we do hope it does get patched and tweaked. Because at the moment, yeah, this doesn't make it feel rewarding. This just simply feels easy. I might have to up the AI, depending on how we get on in qualifying, but up towards the line, yeah, our free practice programs, we have blitzed through them all.
Hello everyone, it is time for qualifying at one of our very favourite stops on the calendar. It's Albert Park, and we're about to take the cars right up to the edge.
Well, we had a really, really good qualifying session last time out in Jeddah, sorry. Of course, Bahrain, absolutely one to forget on the other hand. So how kind of is Albert Park, Australia gonna fall for us? The sun is shining here on Saturday. It is definitely raining again, though, come Grand Prix Sunday. But hopefully we can try and get a good lap on the board. Suddenly the car feels very different again, because obviously we're back in the dry conditions. What is that? Just tried to turn in towards an apex there and have way more grip than I was ever expecting. Not the ideal start to our opener. Apart from that little weird moment down in the first sector, this lap's actually felt pretty good. And I must admit, Albert Park, Australia, often been a venue of very low traction. This weekend, it feels very different. Unfortunately, we're the only driver not able to go under 80 seconds, so all my confidence from qualifying, from free practice, has immediately eroded. Well, maybe my confidence then from Jeddah and free practice might be coming back to haunt me here, because, well, so far Yumo and I unable to get within 7/10 of anybody else here. We're going to start our final flying lap of the session. I'm hoping there should be a little bit more time to find, especially down at turn 3. But we're going to have to really go for it here. Trying to manage the battery is no mean feat either. So let's just really try and put it all on the line. Oh, way too deep there. Didn't do much of a better job than I did last time round there, as the car wants to try and break traction through the next couple of corners. We are 6/10 up though, so we definitely found a little bit more. And suddenly you're getting a mix of oversteer and understeer. I didn't realise we brought the old Ferrari SF14T from 2014 to this weekend, but apparently we have. We're not going to be able to get anywhere near that, but we might get near to some of the other back marker drivers, as there is way too much grip through that corner. We're running pretty low levels of downforce around here, as once again the car tries to break free from me. Open at the battery though on the run to the start finish line. It's going to be a 1.6 second improvement. Where is that going to put me? I think it's P16. Well, for the first time then this season, it is not Max Verstappen on the pole there. He can only line up 4th place on the grid, slower than Russell, Oscar Piastri and Fernando Alonso. So Mercedes power units seem to be working very well around this new power orientated layout here in Australia. Oscar Piastri though, front row start for his home Grand Prix. I'm sure he'll be looking to try and snooker away a victory this weekend. But P16 for us, 9/10 clear of a Yumo Iwasa. We've definitely built up some one-lap confidence in the car, but how are we going to get on as the rain falls in the race?
Few places embrace Formula One like Melbourne. It is a truly brilliant sentence to say. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. We're close to Port Phillip Bay for today's race at the 3.28 mile Albert Park circuit. It is very bumpy out there on the surface of the racetrack. 14 corners, some of which were remodeled in 2022. We have wet conditions today, so watch out for a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Hamilton, Bottas, Stroll, Joe, Albon, Sargent, Gasly, Mr. Monaco, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Ocon, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, and a Yumo Iwasa. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Joining me for this one is Naomi Schiff. Things seem comfortable, they seem stable right now. That's a positive, but do they need to be pushed to the next level?
Absolutely. We're certainly seeing a driver that feels a lot more comfortable and confident within the team, and that comes from that stability and being settled into what we can now see as a clear role within the team. It's so important for a driver to know where they stand, because sometimes when you don't know exactly where you stand, you can easily overdrive or even put too much pressure on yourself. So I think they'll be able to focus on the smaller details during the race today.
We're hoping you can get some points this race. Good luck.
Well, there we go. Team looking for points this weekend, and Naomi Schiff clearly doesn't understand that I'm the team leader here. I'm the big dog within 212 Motorsports. We line up P16, though. I was hoping that maybe we might start seeing some grid penalties for other drivers this season, but that hasn't happened just yet. This is going to be an interesting test, though, to see how the cars are going to handle and how bad the tyre wear is going to be in these slippery conditions, because if there's a chance to no-stop this, I'm probably going to try and take it as well there. But front locking and things like that are going to make things very, very scary early on as we try to find a rhythm. Waiting on the grid, though, for those 5 red lights. It is lights out, and away we go. Of course, don't have to regulate the throttle as much as I would expect to. In fact, we're even able to use the battery there as we try and launch forward in towards that first corner. Zhou Guanyu trying to have a look down the inside of his teammate there as we're going to try and move past both of the Williams. A little bit of contact with that Kick Sauber car out of the first couple of turns, but I think we've just about been able to pull it off. And again, though, got to be really, really careful here. In fact, we're going to actually take an active management approach of those tyres early on here, just to kind of see what they are going to do in these conditions. As we discovered in Jeddah last time out, they won't actually wear that much if you're being gentle with them. But of course, you know, it is just going to be a case of seeing how they're going to cope in all the spray here around Albert Park. And look at that at the front of the field, though. I'm sure if this was a real life, we would have heard the crowd roar as Oscar Piastri makes a move for the lead of the Grand Prix right at the start of the event. So good key move for the McLaren man. Are we going to see the AI struggle to put the power down out of the back straight? Not nearly as much as the Delta was leading to suggest this weekend. But have Red Bull just compromised their setup to try and suit their car in race trim, or do they just simply not have the pace around the long straights of this Albert Park circuit? Looks like we're going to have to manage the rear tyres as well a lot throughout the afternoon, but a one-stop might be possible. Without DRS then, this weekend is going to be a lot more about just trying to manage your own pace and see how you stack up. It's often actually been a really, really good way to move forward here in Albert Park in recent years, was just sit behind a faster car and claim all 3 of those DRS zones around the lap. But that's not going to be possible whilst the rain is still pouring. I don't believe track conditions are meant to change whatsoever, even if we got a red flag or anything like that. It is just steady rain showers right the way through the afternoon.
Let's use overtake and burn off some of this energy.
Oh, here comes Zhou Guanyu. A load of extra top-end speed as we make our way down the back straight. Not enough confidence on the brakes are on the outside, and who can blame him unless you're prepared to really hook it up the long way around. I don't think moves are going to be possible there today. Starting lap 5 then, desperately just trying to keep up with Valtteri Bottas early on here. But it is very, very clear as well, a no-stop strategy is not going to be possible. The curbs. I'm starting to wonder whether the curbs actually on this game don't factor in weather at all. Because that inside curb there just seems to drag me in no matter what the conditions are like around this place. Either that or the cars just absolutely love pointing towards them. But yeah, we're able to keep up with Bottas at the moment. Zhou Guanyu, only when he really nails it, is able to keep chase. But I'm just not convinced we've got much more pace than where we are. There we go. If we get the line nailed through the chicane, though, see how much speed we gain on Bottas. I mean, it's basically a freebie for us. Down the inside on the exit. Ooh, a little bit of wheel banging there between myself and the honorary Australian, I guess. And we are back into P11 once more. As Stroll, once again, I'm sure it'll be the case a lot this year. He's going to be our foe for P10. Well, I don't know whether sort of in stormy conditions or something like that, the wet weather physics are going to feel any different at all. Because honestly, at the moment, it genuinely on this game, to try and give you an idea, if you haven't played it yet, what it feels like.
Right, we need to get past here. Use overtake. Use overtake.
It's like driving in the dry on F123. That's kind of where we're at with the grip on this game. I mean, if you went from F122 to this, you would have an absolute field day. Because there is just such an insane amount of grip. But yeah, that's honestly, I reckon, the closest comparison I can give is it feels like F123 in the dry. How early you're able to carry the throttle
Try to keep up this momentum.
is absolutely insane at the moment. But Stroll is still losing time to the Mercedes of Hamilton in front of him. But far more importantly than that, Oscar Piastri is still leading the way at the front. I mean, so far, this episode feels like I have just been throwing a lot of shade at EA and Codemasters here as well. We'll finally get a run on Sir Lance. That being said, though, the graphic, you know, you can absolutely work out where the circuit, you know, where the spray's sort of been moved off the racing line and where is a little bit damper. I mean, I can't really feel much difference in it at all. But it is a nice little feature, of course, to know kind of where the AI goes. Look at this, Lance Stroll, every single lap through that final corner, it looks like he's drifting that car there. A little bit of a mistake there by Lance as we make our way out onto the back straight. I've sensed an opportunity here. And we try and get past him. I'd love to be ahead of him before the pit stops. So, I mean, you can just see the AI probably dropping down one gear too many. And they just get their line wrong through there. That time around, actually, he's been able to get the power down again. It seems that Lance, every time he senses I'm going to be able to get past him, suddenly speeds up a little bit there as well. A bit of front locking down in towards the next corner. We cadence rate the car in, though, go the long way around. And for the second weekend in a row, we are up into the points. Oh, interesting then. So AI boxing a little bit earlier than I was expecting here in this Grand Prix. I don't believe any of them are going to two-stop. As Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Alonso, I think I saw Charles Leclerc as well, all diving into the pit lane then. Surely they can't be two-stopping. It would make no sense with the grip still on these tyres. But I'm fully intending on extending the stint to half distance. I mean, how are you meant to save the car like that? It feels like I moaned too much on previous F1 games that it felt like you just get into slides that you couldn't save. This year, it's like the car doesn't want to spin at all on you. There's absolutely no way I should have been able to keep that out of the wall with the throttle I used. Okay then, clearly the AI aren't splitting their strategies. They just want to try and go aggressive on the first pit stop here. So for the second weekend in a row, we are actually going to lead a Grand Prix. Piastri's still out in front of everyone that hasn't boxed. Looks like Zhou Guanyu has joined me. But yeah, the AI strategy is very peculiar here. There we go, Zhou Guanyu, one of the last cars into the pits. I think there's still a couple of others lurking around. One of the Alpines there that needs to box.
Teammate behind, 34.8 seconds.
I'm just trying to see if the undercut has worked for anyone, because that's the only other thing I'm a bit nervous about, that maybe Stroll will get back ahead of me. But honestly, I looked at the weather coming into this weekend and I thought, this is going to be a really, really bad one for us. On the other hand now, if we end up with wet races in the future, I'm probably going to have to up the AI difficulty. Because, I mean, Tsunoda, new fast lap of the day. What is Yuki cooking? Confirming to the team then that we are going to box at the end of lap 14. So we're able to take our tyres just that little bit further than anybody else. I mean, even if a lot of the front runners were planning on a two-stop, I think they would probably still get the better of me by the end of the afternoon. But trying to navigate our way into this Albert Park pit lane. Horrible pit lane entry now. You got two walls on either side that will really catch you out. Luckily now, obviously, it's 50 miles an hour, though, because the pit lane has been made a whole lot wider. So Oscar Piastri, then homeboy, is going to return to the front of the order. But hopefully, if we can get a nice, clean, tidy stop, which we will, are we going to be out ahead of Lance? It's going to be close. I forgot then for a split second about just how much you can match the throttle on exit. But Stroll has got the jump on me. But, I mean, hopefully we should be right back with him very soon once I got the tyres up to temperature. I mean, the other thing I've been trying to keep my eye on wherever possible is actually Iwasa. He's still beating, I believe it's Kevin Magnussen in this Grand Prix, and I would love for him to not finish last for the first time this season.
No issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
That 7 extra pace stat now means he can keep up with one other driver in this series. But yeah, we have rocked up to the back of Lance Stroll again, so I'm hoping it's a matter of when rather than if. Here we go then, trying to get a run on the Canadian. Are we going to be able to get a wheel to the outside? Yes, we are. Oh, a bit of rear locking though. Not able to get the rotation through the front end. But I don't want to leave it to the last minute like we saw in Saudi Arabia trying to make a move on Lance Stroll, because he could very easily just try and switch me again. That time round.
Use overtake, use overtake.
Trying to be very, very aggressive with me. We're trying to have a look to the inside, but you can see just off the dry line there. Didn't quite have the confidence, didn't quite know what the brakes were going to do, so took it a little bit easy. It's all still a learning experience for us, but I really do believe our first points of the year are possible today. So we've got to be a bit more careful, slow in, fast out, see if we can try and switch him, but again, Lance Stroll there, I think, just starting to push the envelope a little bit more. Look at how aggressive he wants to be. Trying to brake a bit later again. You hear the fronts locking. But Lance Stroll, rather than running me off the road, actually gives me the space around the outside. And we are through once again. Mark loving that one. But yeah, we are finally back inside the top 10 then. Now we just got to try and bring it home. There's all eyes, I'm sure, here. Still on Oscar Piastri at the front of the field. We're trying to use a bit of battery this lap. See if we can... Yes, we have! We've snookered away. Fastest lap bonus point. Yeah, I'll be honest. I think if we see that we've got a wet race coming up in the future... I mean, anyway, I am moving around the AI, so I'm going to continue just to increase it until we get to a level that I am happy with. I think now we're running like 104. So we know if it's in the rain, I can probably bump it up close to 110.
Light rain conditions for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that rain is meant to be here to the end of the afternoon. So I guess really the only other question we've got late on, are the AI going to pit again? Or might they absolutely ruin their tyres? Well, if the AI were going to pit again before the end of the Grand Prix, we'd start seeing them in around about now. They're definitely struggling though on their tyres. Lewis Hamilton, that gap has come down to about 5.5 seconds. Admittedly, a lot of that, of course, is still coming through that chicane. But at the other end of the field, Iwasa still ahead of that Haas car. Oh, there we go, Lewis. Lewis struggling so badly, he's into the pit lane. So are a handful of other drivers with just 3 laps to go. Here in Albert Park, Lewis, Hamilton, Verstappen, Alonso, Leclerc, 4 of the fastest and most experienced drivers on the Formula 1 grid, all are into the pit lane. They don't believe their tyres can go to the end of the race. That's how much the AI is struggling. But will we see some of our other front runners pit? I mean, both McLaren's still out there. Every other team, though, they could afford to pit here and not have to double stack their cars. Surely not. I mean, if we see any of those top 3 into the pit lane at the end of this lap, who knows what is going to be possible by the end of the afternoon here. This has really come late on, and just after I'd given up hope that the AI would dive into the pit lane before the end of this Grand Prix, clearly none of them can make the one-stop work. Sergio Perez has gambled it. He has stayed out there, but Oscar Piastri from the lead of the Grand Prix. McLaren are double stacking. What on earth is this late on in the day? I don't know whether Perez and Leclerc will dive into the pit lane with just 1 lap to go of this GP. But Piastri, I was about to bring up the stat that no Australian has ever got a podium in their home Grand Prix. And with the way things are looking at the moment, somehow, with just 2 laps to go of this Grand Prix, that stat looks to be staying. Well, this race might be about to win the award for the dumbest race you'll see inside F1 24. The game's only been out 2 days. How on earth have we already ended up with such a ridiculous result here in Australia? Are we going to see Perez and Leclerc into the pit lane? Sergio Perez is in! Will Charles Leclerc join him? I think he has. Oh my. As we start the final lap of the Australian Grand Prix, we have got no concerns with our tyres still. Ours are only at 58% wear. And we are into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Like I said, you know, Verstappen and Piastri are still absolutely ploughing along here. Piastri at the very least, is back onto the podium late on in this Grand Prix. But how ridiculous is this? Not only are the AI pretty poor in terms of their raw pace in the wet, they also can't look after their tyres. And, well, usually this takes seasons. We got lucky inside F1 23 in our My Team career mode that we were able to win a race in Season 1. This time round, though, it is going to take us 3 Grand Prix. I say that, Oscar Piastri is actually still closing in on me at a rather rapid rate of knots, so we've got to be very, very careful as we make our way through the chicane for the final time there. Nice and easy on the way through. Be gentle with the car, be gentle with the tyres, but as we roll on the throttle, I don't think anyone was expecting this when we came to Albert Park, Australia this weekend. We narrowly missed out on points last time out, and I said that was likely going to be our only real look-in the opening stages of the season. But here in Australia, a little bit of luck, a little bit of magic as we round our way through the final corner. I'm sure the Australian fans are gutted to see it, but somehow, in just our 3rd ever race, we are a Formula 1 Grand Prix winner.
Yes, 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 guys, yes! Come on, boys! Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
A great race then, and a fantastic victory here at Albert Park.
It's not every day that we get to see such incredible wheel-to-wheel racing. Next time, they might consider making it easier for themselves, but today, we absolutely loved all the action that we got to see out there.
Here comes your top 3, making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula 1.
Well, there we go then. The Australian Grand Prix, just our 3rd ever race, the team's 3rd ever race, from 16th on the grid. It is P1. We will never, ever have another race like that inside F1 24. So, as maybe ridiculous as it is, we've kind of got to cherish it all at the same time there. Like we said, 16th on the grid to 1st at the end of the day. Max Verstappen, the first time this year, he is not going to be on the podium there. And Oscar Piastri, well, absolutely gutted for him. Because honestly, I was going to be so hyped if he was able to win this race as well there. Russell in P3 ahead of those Red Bulls. Ferraris in 6th and 7th ahead of Alonso, Hamilton, and Lando Norris there. Albon actually got the jump on Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll towards the end of the GP, but we were the only driver to make the one-stop work there. And Iwasa, he did beat Nico Hülkenberg. Admittedly, he came 21st when we came first, so far, we've come 21st, 11th, and 1st. I was going to make a joke about that coming into this episode, but I thought, no, it sounds too stupid. And guess where we are at the end of the weekend there. Taking a look at the championship standings, well, I'm pretty certain that's going to be that P8 in the Constructors pretty much locked up. Verstappen with a 21-point lead over Charles Leclerc, 4 points between him and Sergio Perez. We're just 2 points back behind George Russell, tied with Hamilton and Fernando Alonso as well there, with Piastri and Sainz tied just a couple of points further back. Still Stroll and Bottas with points on the board. 12 drivers after the opening 3 Grand Prix have been able to get some points there, and it's still sadly Iwasa at the bottom of the table. Constructors-wise, we're up to 6th. I mean, we've got 24 points more than Kick Sauber, and we're 1 point still behind Aston Martin, so I think 6th place is pretty much locked down for us, unless we get some more crazy races later on this season. Is that going to be the new norm? Probably not. Are we going to take it? 25 points is 25 points at the end of the day. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns for the first sprint weekend of the year in Shanghai.